Hello everybody and welcome back to SkySaga Alpha 4. So, a few little bits and pieces have happened between episodes. So, first and foremost, I've actually swapped over from using two straight Abyssium swords. I ran a few adventures between the episodes, and the Abyssium swords just swing really slowly, so it's a little bit hard to do as much damage as you need to. So, we're dual wielding right now. We've got Abyssium in one hand and Verdonite in the other. We may actually even upgrade again and go Verdonite in both hands, because there was a page on the wiki that I'll post in the description below that talks about what metals do what in terms of sword damage and sword speed, and turns out that two Verdonite swords is actually best for PvE, so that's probably what we're going to upgrade to. The other thing that we've done is put up a couple of flags to mark out our first game. So there are some yellow flags over this gate, and then if we head all the way down to King of the Hill that we built last time, there are some yellow flags down here as well, up on the top there. So I've also been doing a little bit of experimenting, looking at making a brand new minigame over here. So this here was going to be chicken mini golf. However, the chicken moves around just way too much, and even with a pair of shears, it is almost impossible to actually get the chicken to go in the hole. There's also a little spring trap down in there that would have kicked him back up and out, but it doesn't work as well as it could do. So I'm gonna fiddle around with that again between episodes and things and see if I can get it to actually work as expected, but for now I'm going to put that idea on hold. The final thing that's happened that you may be able to see at the back here, if we go through the tunnel that we've made, we've actually marked out the area that we're going to use to build all of the SheepBall Stadiums in. So today's episode, I actually want to get started on this. I want to fill in the sand over that side and the snow over the other, and we're actually going to build up the desert and winter SheepBall Stadiums today. Obviously going to have to knock out most of this island that's kind of spawned in over here, because this is going to be in the way of the stadium. First things first, so I actually want to go out and take a few shots of a winter adventure, because there is a particular place of interest in the winter worlds that I'm actually going to model this SheepBall Stadium after. And there it is. This here is what I am going to try and model the frozen SheepBall Stadium after. So these two giant mountain towers with the kind of bridge between them is exactly what I'm trying to go for. So probably going to end up with something like this big mass here that's going to actually have the SheepBall Stadium on it, and then we're going to have bridges out to kind of little smaller islands like this where people can watch the game from. Here we are at the top, so this is a pretty spectacular looking place, I reckon, and there's some pieces we can't do quite yet. So these grates along the floor we can't build, the hanging canopies and these lamps we can't build, but it'll be nice to be able to get a kind of foundation down for this thing and make it look something kind of similar to this, at least to start with, and then as we go through an adventure a bit more and find some more things, we can actually complete this look. I think I might make my bridge just a little bit smaller than this and make these platforms out here that I'm going to have, you know, seating and that type of thing on are going to be a little bit smaller as well. The interesting thing to note is that they're actually a wood pillar, basically all the way from the top all the way down past the mountain to the ground there. So it's going to be something I want to put into the build as well. Alright, so I'm going to run around here, grab some screenshots, see if there's a chest in there and clear this out a little bit, and then we'll head back over to the SheepBall Island and start building this thing. And there you go, this entire area back here is cleared out, and boy does that make a huge difference to the island. I had to jump out of the world and spawn back in, and I actually got confused as to which way I was looking because I am not used to having this space completely cleared out. I've also gone ahead and cleared out the floating islands that were on either side. I've just cleared them down to the level that we're going to be placing sand and snow into. I've then filled my inventory completely chock full of sand and snow. I think I might actually run out of snow, but I'm crossing all of my fingers and hoping that I've got just enough to fill this area in. So that's the next plan, is to fill in the sand and the snow rings and get them ready to have stadiums built on them. All of this out here is still a bit of an ugly mess. Eventually I will do a bit of terraforming out here, a bit of landscaping, knock all this stone out, place in some grass and all that kind of stuff. We're also going to need to build either pathways or land going all the way out to the edge of the island, just so that we can actually get to both of these kind of outer stadiums. But for now I need to get myself all set up and start placing down a whole lot of blocks. So I will see you when all of that stuff is done. And there we go. That is all of the snow in place. So I've done both this biome and the desert one as well. But I've done something a little bit different over there. So we're going to jump over and have a look. So I'm yet to set up this one. This is just going to be filled in with grass. Obviously I've got a little bit more clearing to do here as well before we actually manage to fill all of that in. So here we go. As we get over to the desert, you can see I've actually indented a whole bunch of the grass, the sand I should say, down the bottom here. Because our stadium is actually going to be built all the way down the bottom and then have the walls arc up and meet to this sand up the top here. Just so that we've got a nice contrast. We've got one buried in the ground, one that will be sitting on the ground layer, and then the snow one was obviously going to be way above the ground level here. Now I do have one other problem with this. I've got the two floating islands still going on above the sand and the snow, which, if I have a look at the map, means that I've got this big ugly green spot above my two made up biomes. So I'm definitely going to have to get rid of that at some point. But for now I think it's actually time to get some more materials and start doing up the stadiums themselves. So we're going to need to grab a bit of stone. I did actually run out of snow this time round, but I think we're covered now for what we're going to need to do with this biome over here. Okay, so let me grab some stone, mark out where the center points of these lands are, and then we'll get started on building some SheepBall Stadiums. Okay, so I've marked out the center of the area that we're going to be playing SheepBall in, and I've also marked out the four corners as well. So there's actually a really good tutorial out there right now as to how to build a SheepBall Stadium done by Dolkin. I will leave a link to that video in the description. There is one slight thing he gets wrong. So the SheepBall Stadium is 26 blocks by 18 blocks, and at one point he mentions that the middle segment that crosses this the center of the pitch should be 7 blocks across. It is in fact 8 blocks across, but that's just a minor thing. Other than that, it's a really good video, so like I said, I'll link that in the description, and if you're curious at all as to how to make up a stadium like this, you should jump down to that video and have a quick look. So this stadium here that we're doing is the Desert Dome, so we're going to be running this floodstone that I've got in my hands all the way around the length of the stadium, and then the rest of the stadium is going to be built with the coral stone, which is this stuff here. So I'm going to build out the initial layer of this thing, and then when I'm moving on to build the next couple of layers, I'll jump you back in, show you how we're doing that, and we can go from there. And there we go, the stadium is starting. It is coming along quite nicely now. So this here is just the base layer of the stadium. This is the very, very basics of what you would need to actually play SheepBall. So This outer edge that I'm actually wandering around on is somewhere that the players can get to so they can knock the sheep back in from the edges if they need to. Because of that, the next layer up is actually going to have to be 3 high. So the old stadium design ran on the wall being this high. However, with the sheep in Alpha 4, they actually have AI once they've been hit with the shears, which means they can just jump straight up over here and then make their way out of the stadium. So we're actually going to need to sheep-proof this stadium a little bit by jumping this wall up an extra block. So we're going to start by jumping the wall up an extra block and then building a platform up here at 2 out. 2 blocks out. From there, once we've got that in place all the way around the outside, it is time to start building the dome and the stadium area where the viewers are going to sit. So I'm going to put this wall in place and I will be right back. Okay, so here we go. The wall is built up and I have started on the first line of the seating kind of stairway in area. So as you can see, there's a few little bits and pieces I'm doing. So the corner is going to be curved. We've also got this gap over here which is going to house the team change rooms or the team start rooms, either way. And then we've got just one corner left here, so I thought I'd do this with you on camera. So it's just a tiny little piece of a circle that I put together based on the Colosseum in the light yellow worlds. They also use this kind of 3 down, 1 across, 3 down type structure. And then with that, that is the first line done, and we're now going to extend this kind of cascaded upwards all the way until we get up to this level of sand up here. So I'm just going to keep going up like this, up and out by 1 every time until we hit that level, and then that way we'll have a nice kind of amphitheater style build going on, a bit of a Colosseum feel to it, which will be really good. Okay, so I'm going to put on the next set of layers and then I'll show you what it looks like when we're nearing completion. So there we go, the stadium has been built all the way from the pitch level out to this level of sand out here. Had to do a little bit of terraforming and landscaping in the corners to get this to look half decent on the minimap. But other than that, this kind of stadium seating area is done and dusted. So there's just a few little touches that need to happen before this thing is ready. So we need to build some team rooms in here, and we also need to cut some holes in the back here so that you can get down and clear the sheep out of the goal. The other thing that's happened is Captain Corey came over and put this wood pattern in the goal area, and I quite like that, so that's going to stay in there as is. I will pull out the back row and add in some spring traps at a later date before the stadium gets used. So the actual team room area is going to be 4 high, and I'm actually basing this off of the entrance down into the Colosseum from the light yellow world. So I'm just going to build a little bit of one of these on camera really quickly. So if we just go all the way back out here. I'm going to go there and then up like so. So a little bit like this. We're also going to have a little cornice piece in the corner here and there, and then a torch over here to provide a little bit of light. We also need to plug this gap up in the side here so that this actually doesn't look like a gigantic hole. Just like that. So there we go. I'll do that on the other side, and then we're going to need to build floors and all of that kind of stuff. Now this is going to be a little bit tricky because the teams at the moment are going to be blue and red. However, we don't have access to the red stone, as I mentioned in my tutorial video on stone the other day. So for now, I'm just going to have to fill this thing in with the coral stone. It's not going to look quite as good, but when we do get around to having the redstone, I will come back in, rip this all up, and replace it. But for now, we're just going to fill in with coral stone. So I'm going to finish off both of these two little team areas, and I will be right back. Okay, and there we go. The outline of the two team rooms is ready to go. I've just got the last couple of details in my hand, so we're going to put those in together on camera. But first, I'll just quickly show you what I've done. So the entrance to the team room is like this, and then in here, the team room is actually underneath. So there will be a chest in here, unfortunately, of course, because chests can't be opened by anybody other than the person they placed them. The actual team uniforms and shares and stuff will actually just have to be thrown on the floor down here and picked up as needed. But that's going to be the storage area and change room for all of the teams. So to finish these things off, what we're going to do is throw some cornice pieces in here. And as I said, these will be replaced, and all of this will be replaced with the bloodstone once we actually get access to PvP. So for now, the only thing that we can put in that is red are the flags that are going to go over the top here and mark out who is going where. So I can't place that where I want to right now, so I'm just going to have to remove this block, place another one in here, and hopefully, there we go, lets me place it in there, that's perfect. Okay, now we're just going to do the same thing to the blue side. Place that block in there. Let's see if we can do it from here. Get the blue flag out. Oh, look at that. There we go. Block in there. Place another blue flag down. And then we're just going to have to put some cornice pieces in here as well. So if we come back and have a look at this, I think that looks pretty good right now. Yeah, look, there we go. That looks awesome. And there we have it, one fully complete desert dome. This is now the first official SheepBall Stadium on the NA server. That is awesome. So there are a few little bits and pieces that I'll need to do between episodes just to finish it off, make it look kind of nice. I also do want to, at some point, put some cladding in down around the bottom, because as you can see right now, it looks a little bit rubbish from this view. Admittedly, we won't have this view when this stadium gets filled in with grass. We won't be able to see down through there, and hopefully I'll be able to build walkways and things so you can't see down this way, but I'd still like to give it a bit of cladding down the bottom and, you know, make it look half decent. Now, we were going to continue over to here and build a second SheepBall Stadium today, build the frozen field, build it all the way up. We'll probably have to knock out part of that island, but I am actually running out of time to do my recording, so instead we're actually going to go over and we're going to build another couple of mini-games so that we can open the SheepBall Island up and people from the NA server can come over here and play some more mini-games. So we're going to head over this way and build an archery target practice range. Also, there's another new addition to this island. Captain Corey has been working very, very hard to build a parkour jump puzzle on the island as well. And this thing is coming together really, really well. So there's a very, very easy puzzle to get over to the island, and then the actual puzzle itself is this tower that he's working on. And that is really awesome. So we'll go over there in a later episode and see if I can actually complete that. I probably won't be able to. I am honestly rubbish at those type of things, but it will be fun to try out. So I think we might start our archery puzzle somewhere over this way. We've got a lot of room over here, so it might be a good idea to build it out over that way. So the one I built in pre-release was a large floating island full of targets. I think this time I'm going to do it a little bit differently. I'll do it a minefield of floating islands, each with their own target on. So I should gather up some materials and get moving on all of that. So I was just on my way to collect some materials and I realized that we actually have some leftover cornice pieces, so we can start working on these archways a little bit more and make them look a little bit better. So I've just cleared out some of the bricks around here, removed this pillar at the back that was holding up these flags. I just want to try out few little designs quickly here on camera. So this one here extends the range of the arc quite a bit and makes the whole doorway look a bit bigger, which I kind of like. I like that a lot. The only problem with it is this guy back here, this flag, we are going to have to move out and move over somewhere else. Whereas this one, we can safely sit on this cornice piece, or on a cornice piece like that, and it will actually look half decent from the back here. Like I said, we just need to remove these guys in the middle and get rid of those. The other option that we can do is exactly what I was discussing in the first episode, or the first episode we worked on this rather, is if we get rid of these, you put one in here and in there. Personally, I'm not too fond of that because it doesn't give the rounded effect that I was looking for. It makes the door feel a lot more square than it was before. So I'm really not too sure. I like this version over here better. It looks a lot more archway-like and a lot more basically like what I had in my head when I was coming up with this design. Obviously, like I said, the only downside here is that we're going to need to move the flags out and across by one, just so that we don't have these blue flags in here connected to absolutely nothing. I'd also like to thank Lathiri for providing me with these cornice pieces. That is an amazing help, and I'll probably be going back to her a couple more times to get a few more of these things because they look awesome. Anyway, so this is the challenge I need to face, so I'll be thinking about this between episodes. Let me know which one you prefer in the comments below, and we will put those into place first thing next episode. Okay, so I'm going to continue on and grab some materials and we can start on the archery course. So here we are. I've made a bit of a start to the archery challenge. So as I showed before, we're down here next to King of the Hill. We've got a nice little box that we need to stand in to shoot our arrows out, and we've got the two furthest targets that I want to place into the game. So that strip down the back there is actually the edge of the world, the edge of the build limit that we can build into, or at least walk around on. This sand here is going to be removed eventually. This is just for me to platform across and be able to get to the targets that I want to build. So there are going to be these two here, all the way out the back, and then there's going to be one in the middle somewhere that you'll have to start your archery round on. Jump back in here, so there'll be one directly in the middle somewhere around here. There'll be a couple out in the wide shot, and then there will be some on the sides here, one down pretty low and then one up highish up here somewhere. So all of them are going to be like this green target over here on the right and have their own little floating island built underneath them. That is actually dirt on top of there, but we just haven't zoned out and zoned back in yet, so there is no grass on the top of that. I'm going to go out and knock out most of this sand here and then build an island for this guy here, and then I'm just going to, I think, crack on and build up the rest of the targets in this set, because I've done a lot of kind of jump cut progressy type stuff this episode, and I'm just getting to be a bit of a clip shot and I don't really want that. So I'm going to build up the targets I have in mind, and I'll probably end up coming back here every now and again, placing in a few more targets, doing it, you know, a couple of different colors of stone, that type of thing. So that's the plan. I'm also just going to try these targets out. I did hit them just before off camera, but of course now I'm recording, this is going to miss. A little too high, I think. There you go, and we've hit that one, and we've hit this one. Now, these, because they're so far away, they're actually out of render distance for objects, which means that even though there is still a snow block in here, it's just disconnected from the block texture like that. It actually counts as an object, which means when we're outside the render distance all the way down here, it looks like there's a gaping big hole in the target. However, it does still have snow in there, as you can see by the fact that the snow does restore itself eventually. So I'm going to stop taking pot shots at these things and build up the next set of targets. I will see you when all of that is done. And there it is, the archery course is now finished. So we've got some close but hard to hit targets, some long range targets, some mid range targets, and a start and stop target. So I've actually come all the way back down here. We see that some of these can actually be quite difficult to hit. So this one down the bottom here, it's pretty easy. But this one up here, actually have to almost lean around the corner to get that shot off. But the rest of these aren't too bad. Some of them do need a little bit of practice behind you to get those. It is starting to go dark, so I should probably stop shooting at these because you probably won't be able to see that once YouTube renders the video in. So I'm pretty happy with all of that and how much progress we've got done today. Captain Corey has been working very, very hard on his jump puzzle. As you can see, it's now got a lot more to it. It's already had quite a few people come over and visit it and have a look at that, which is really quite cool. So I think this will be all for today's episode. We're actually going to finish up here. Next episode I will be coming back and I'll actually be finishing off this other SheepBall Stadium that I hadn't got to over this side. Potentially clearing out these two islands between episodes, just so you guys don't have to watch me do all of that. And then we'll also build a few more mini-games around here, and maybe even get started on my home island. But right now I'm kind of focusing on this island as a bit of a priority, because I want to get this up and running and open, and you know, bring people in to play mini-games with. That would be quite cool. Alright, well, I will see you all next time.